Love books but don't have time to read? Hate books but you have to read for school? Instead, you can listen to more of F. Scott Fitzgerald and thousands of other authors using Audible. Audible is an ebook service that allows you to listen to books no matter where you are. Use code SPARKNOTES for a 30-day free trial. Hello, and welcome back to the Three Editeers. We're your host, Justin Taw,
Riley Mitchell,
and Simon Tran.
This week, we'll be talking about a famous staple of American literature, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. You know, the one that you read everyone's read in high school. If you somehow haven't had the chance to read this amazing work, we warn you, spoilers ahead. This novel takes place in the 1920s of America, where the economy is booming and money is easily spent.
Specifically, we shall be investigating the character of Gatsby and what motivates him to change.
Now, Gatsby is a very complex character who doesn't quite understand even his own motivations. What do you think are some of his motivations from changing from James Gatz to Jay Gatsby? How does he become the man he is?
Well, Justin, I believe one of the most noticeable motivations is his love of Daisy.
And by that, I think you mean he loves the idea of Daisy, right?
Of course.
Interesting, but how can we be sure?
There are extensive details and reasoning to reinforce the theory. After all, it's been several years since Gatsby has seen Daisy. It's likely that Gatsby has only been attached to how he remembers Daisy as the perfect girl.
But what about Daisy's character is so ideal?
Well, for starters, Daisy was born into a rich family and lived a careless life of leisure. This happened to be the ideal life that Gatsby wished to share.
That makes sense. So Gatsby wanted to meet Daisy's standards of living and became rich himself.
But that's not the only reason for Gatsby to change. Social pressures shifted focus greatly during the 1920s, also known as the Roaring Twenties.
Oh, I remember this. The Roaring Twenties, the economy boomed, allowing for increased consumerism. People bought whatever they wanted because they could.
And I assume that allowed Gatsby to magically appear as a rich man seemingly overnight.
Not only does it allow him to, it encourages him to. The consumer culture, developing in America, revolves completely around money. Gatsby likely wanted to fit in with society as another rich man.
Does this include fitting in with Daisy?
It probably does. He does state that Daisy's voice is full of money. Of course, there is one reason he is not completely successful. Daisy comes from old money, while Gatsby comes from new money. The cultures is slightly different enough for there to be a disconnection.
So that's why Daisy doesn't enjoy Gatsby's party. They still don't quite come from the same crowd of people. Gatsby wishes he has come from old money, but is obviously unable to do that. He tries making up by becoming rich on his own, but it is still not enough.
Now that we've beaten the topic of Daisy to death, we've gone over plenty enough, I'd like to point out that Gatsby's struggle is symbolic of...
the American dream, right?
You read my mind.
Ah yes, the beautiful American dream. The pinnacle of freedom and prosperity. The happiness that can be pursued. Keyword, pursued.
We can all agree that Gatsby tried his hardest to pursue his dream of a lavish life with the perfect wife.
Yep.
We can also agree his dream was just in reach when he failed. By failed, I mean he got into an argument with Tom, and he got shot by Wilson.
So, as the readers, we can interpret this as the American dream always being unreachable.
That seems like the message. Hey Simon, it seemed like you had something else on your mind earlier.
Actually, yeah, I did. I was just thinking, we almost skipped over the topic of Dan Cody.
Right, Dan Cody, Gatsby's mentor. That is, Gatsby when his name was still James Gatz.
How could we forget? The moment Dan brought James under his wings, Jay Gatsby was born. He did influence Gatsby's behavior greatly.
He influenced one of the most important things about a person, their name. Gatsby changed his name from James Gatz to Jay Gatsby to better reflect his desire to be seen as a wealthy person.
Not only that, but during his life on Cody's yacht, he also had to take care of his mentor, as he was very often found drunk. Because of this, Gatsby refuses to drink, even when everyone around him does. There are many potential theories for why Gatsby doesn't drink. Any guesses?
I guess that he wants to hold himself to a certain standard, in order to maintain the image of a wealthy man. Getting drunk wouldn't help him be perceived as the responsible Oxford man by the rest of society.
Back to impressing society again? I think I see a trend.
Does the trend have to do with Bitcoin stocks?
Huh? No, but that is surprisingly relevant to this era. Stocks were booming, but never mind that. Speaking of money, what about Meyer Wolfsheim?
While we don't know too much about Wolfsheim's effects on Gatsby's personality, we do know that he apparently set up Gatsby to become rich when he returned from the war.
We also suspect that Gatsby may have participated in Wolfsheim's criminal acts. It could be that Gatsby was willing to act somewhat immorally in order to achieve his goals.
That is true. Gatsby does hold on to his dreams very tightly, despite his life being in danger. This is, of course, also what leads to his death. Before we get sidetracked again, I was going to say something.
You said there was a trend?
Ah yes, of course, I remember now. Here, today we have seen all the various motivations for Jay Gatsby to become the unique person he is. All of these motivations seem to connect to one another. Did you notice?
Ah, yes. Gatsby impresses Daisy by attempting to conform to society's standards as a whole.
And Gatsby conforms to society by impressing the rich, such as Dan Cody.
This is because money, respect, and the idea of Daisy are all part of 1920s society. In the end, the true motivation of Gatsby is simply to be the kind of American that was idealized in the Roaring Twenties. This is F. Scott Fitzgerald's observation of society, and these ideas continue to be observable today.
Who doesn't want to be part of the American dream? Well, there you have it, old sports. The cause of the evolution from the penniless James Gatz to the extravagant Jay Gatsby, and how it was destined to crumble. We'd like to thank you for tuning in and hope you enjoyed. Tune in next time for Turgenov's Russian epic, Fathers and Sons. Have a nice day, everybody, and Merry Christmas. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's time to go take a swim.
Don't get shot.
And see you next week.